Welcome to the Passive Income Podcast. I am your host, Dividend Dave. Please be sure to click that subscribe button below and become a member of the Passive Income Posse. I am so super excited and stoked for this episode. This episode is so totally different than everything else we've ever had on the Passive Income Podcast. We now have Niti Saran, 18 years old, 18-year-old entrepreneur. So this is going to be very different than passive income. This is really going to be about a young entrepreneur grinding and figuring out what has happened. I'm going to throw it over to you, Nitty, to give yourself an introduction.
Okay, thank you so much for having me on. First of all, I just wanted to say that. And my name is Niti Saran. I'm a teenage entrepreneur. I'm still in high school. I've managed to grow my net worth to close to six figures before even graduating. I've uh, sold multiple digital products and services as well on social media. I've been able to grow my brand past, multi six figure audience and just, scale it up from there and documenting everything that I'm learning as I'm going all over social media and helping people. I'm a coach, I'm a consultant. I just been able to do everything when it comes to organic marketing and social media.
Wow, that is awesome. And 18 years old, 18 years old. And like you said, six-figure income or close to. Trust me, when I was 18, I'm not even sure I had a five-figure income at 18 years old, right?
Yeah.
Well, and again, back then when I was 18, 100 years ago, a five-figure income was still a lot of money. So
No, of course. I feel like as, technology improves and stuff, having social media is just a big advantage. If there weren't social media, even back in the day, if I was born, at a different time, I probably would not be, doing what I'm doing right now, obviously.
right, right. Yeah, exactly. So I guess first I want to get into the story of how you began because I obviously I've looked through some of your profiles on Twitter, Instagram, and whatnot, and you started around the age of 14. So 4 years later, you've grown this brand of yourself, and your pinned tweet is like I made a Canva logo for $20, and now I'm worth this much, right? So how did that 14-year-old person become this now 18-year-old person?
I've never heard someone ask me it like that. That's crazy. But I started selling candy in the eighth grade. It's how I usually start this story. I remember I saw a girl in my class selling candy and I was like, "You know what? I want to sell candy with her. I want to start selling candy as well." So then I came up to her. I went home that day and I was like, came up with a plan on how she could sell candy with me and we could make more money together. She ended up rejecting me and being like, "No, I don't. I want to do it on my own. I'm good." So I then grabbed one of my friends and we both started selling candy together, the two of us versus her, and then we put her out of business. And I and that's kind of like how my entrepreneurial spirit started to form, and I realized that I'm more into this kind of stuff than I think I am. So then I just started to dabble online and go on YouTube and stuff like that and start looking at these bigger creators and started finding out that there are people making money online. And I started by just making money with surveys and stuff like that. I had some, I made a couple hundred off of that. And then I remember I just started growing my brand while I'm doing that. My social media, I just started, and I knew nothing at the time, like when it comes to growing social media. But what I was posting were things had to do with, I was reading a lot of business and personal development books. So I was just documenting my personal development journey, being a better person, and just growing my social media with like business content, books that I'm reading, stuff like that. And eventually I started to gain a network of people that I knew and that trust me. I ended up helping people for free with their social media strategies as my social media started to grow. Then eventually I started gaining credibility in the field, so I started charging for products and services that I put together. And just 4 years later I am where I'm at, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. Like you look through your timeline as well, like 14 years old, 15, 16 years old, and you're like, 16 years old, I've made 60 grand. I think I saw in one of your tweets or something. It's like,
Yeah.
most 16-year-olds don't make 60 grand, right?
Yeah, I'm one of the lucky ones who found social media and found this space in social media. And I think it's not even just that, it's the fact that, anyone could have found it, but I think it's the fact that I have the character traits in order to be persistent, and I didn't make money for a whole year when I was starting. So, being persistent and just,
The
you know,
grind, yeah,
yeah,
persistence pays off. We've all heard
exactly.
that one before. Persistence pays off.
Yeah, exactly. Just consistently putting in the work, it's gonna pay off, and that's what I was willing to do, and that's what brought me the results.
Yeah. So, like I said off the top, this is going to be 110% different than any other episode on the Passive Income Podcast. Like, normally we talk about just, you know, investing and trying to gain passive income through dividend stocks. But I really want to kind of dig into more of your story. And even before you and your partner put that poor other person out of business, I'm curious about even like as a child, that 7, 8, 9-year-old leading up to that 14-year-old, just where were your thoughts and your mindset in those, formative years?
Yeah, I appreciate that question because not a lot of people ask me that. I've been on probably like 30 podcast shows, and I haven't had someone ask me or like focus more on, the years before that. So this is like gonna be me thinking off the cuff here. But
Good. I like
yeah.
it.
But let's see. So my parents are immigrants, and I'm mainly going to talk about my mother because she has the most impact on me, and she's an immigrant from India. And I remember, the thing is with immigrant parents, they come here to, provide a better life and have good, better opportunities for you, better, especially
And
with
when
your
you say
educate.
here, you're obviously in the United States?
Yes, I'm in the United States.
I'm
So,
Canadian.
oh, okay. So, yeah, she came here to this country and, to provide better education and stuff. I was born here, I was raised here, and yeah, I guess growing up, my mom always valued education. I ended up seeing, like, my family, my mother struggle financially, but she was smart with her money. That's the one thing. The
Right.
one thing is my mother was very smart with her money. If she got broke again, she could always make her money back. Like
Yeah.
she knows how to hustle. And I think I got that from her. I know I got that from her. And also the thing is, she has a lot of character traits that are very admirable and that can make a really good person, someone who can stay positive no matter what. She is the most positive person I know. The things that she's gone through and stuff. And as you get older, you notice those kind of things. Like, hey, my mom is the strongest person in the world. Like it feels like, and she's always valuing my education and stuff. But to stay on track with what I'm saying is the least I could do to repay my mom for what she's, coming to the country and everything. To me, it was getting an education and just, putting in the work that she imagined. She had a vision for her children, right? And she had a vision for me, her firstborn daughter, to, be good in school and get a good education. So that's what I did. And I remember I thought I was one of those troubled kids up until like the fourth grade, and then in the fourth grade, my teacher told me she was like, she told the class, I'm gonna be giving out honor rolls, like like awards for good, uh, grades, and so I told my mom that day. I said, when you go to parent teacher conference night, don't expect an honor roll because I didn't think I would get it. And then my mom went to parent teacher night, and the teacher told her and said, your daughter could be valedictorian. Like your daughter is doing better than all these students, and she got first honor roll. And I was shocked out of my mind, and that was kind of like the point where I realized that I am capable of doing so much. Because if I felt like I was doing nothing, that was my bare minimum. I know I have capabilities. Like I was like, wow. Like I really thought I never knew that I could do so well up until that point, and that was an eye opener for me in the fourth grade. And I realized that I could do well. So then I aimed every single year. My teachers told me, you could be valedictorian, you could be valedictorian. So then eighth grade came and I became valedictorian just to show, that I can do what, what I put my mind to. And there were kids who were smarter than me. Trust me, I was not the smartest kid. We took IQ tests and I was like maybe like the second or third highest IQ, but I was not like up there. And I remember there would be this girl who has a higher IQ than me. She was reading like in the seventh grade, I think my IQ was like 121. I think that's what it was in the seventh grade. And then I remember she would be reading these big books, and I'm like, I aspire to do that. Like, I aspire to read big books like that. I remember my teachers would type so fast. I'm like, I aspire to do that. So whatever imagine, whatever I want to do, I do it. I end up doing it. My typing speed is like 130, 140, 150 now. Like
Wow.
it's whatever I put my mind to, I can do it. And I think those character traits led into my business and led into my entrepreneurial spirit. If it weren't for, doing so well in school, if it and the only way to do well in school was my mother brought me up to be that way.
Right.
My mom is the reason I am who I am. And so if it weren't for my mom and then my education, I probably wouldn't have those character traits and those skills that I can lead over into my career and my entrepreneurial side, pretty much my endeavors. So that is to answer your question.
Wow, your mom sounds like an 100% absolutely amazing person. Um,
Thank you.
we are gonna get more into this. Before we get more into this, I do need to give a shout out to Buy Investing Shirts. You can link in the description below. Passive Income Posse merch over there. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, toques. Uh, the toque is a Canadian term for a beanie. It's just a
Oh,
French word. It's just a
I never
French
knew
word that
that.
it's a French word that is somehow integrated itself into the English language. We do have a bunch of French words that have kind of come into English. So
Mm,
yeah, buyinvestingshirts.com. Link in the description below. Use code word posse for 5% off. Uh Now I want to talk about like at 14 years old, because obviously at 14 years old you weren't like right away making 100 grand or 70 grand or whatever you're at right now. And even at 18, making 70, 100 grand is absolutely amazing. Like
yeah.
18-year-olds don't make 100 grand, but you do, right? So
Yeah.
I want to talk about like sort of that first, like I think it's your pinned tweet where it's like I made a $20 logo for on Canva for a client. So how did you land that first client, and then how did you build from there?
Yeah, so pretty much what happened was so I started in 2019. That was the start of my high school. I was 14 years old at the time, and I started growing my social media. This is the time where the summer came. I stopped selling candy in 8th grade, and then I was about to go into high school, and I started going on YouTube, and that was a time period for some context. So then I started growing my social media. I started getting people in my DMs and followers and stuff like that. So I decided I want to try to make some money, like even though I'm trying to just build my brand right now, I wanted to make some money. So, what I was able to do is someone reached out to me and he's like, some guy way back in 2019, he was like, you know, how do you create those posts on Canva? Can you, give me a tutorial? And I thought this was my opportunity to sell some kind of product. So I said, I can send you a tutorial for $7. Meanwhile, I had no tutorial. I was just gonna record it off the cuff and just on the spot. And
Yeah,
he said, sure,
nice.
no. He said, no problem. I'm willing. So I went on my computer and I recorded a Canva tutorial, how to use it, pretty much the functions of it, simple stuff, that you could have probably found on YouTube. But if you're coming to me, I was gonna, give him a video. So
Yeah,
then
yeah,
I,
yeah.
I gave it to him. That was my
And
first
Canva's
$7.
not that hard. You could probably figure it out yourself, to be quite
Yeah.
honest, right?
Yeah. So I guess I just kind of showed him some of my templates as well, so that could have helped. But I just ended up, sending that over to him, made my first $7 online that way. But then I made an extra $20 after that. And that was my first $27 online. And the way I made that 20 was after I made that seven, I kind of had some confidence that, hey, I can make money online because I had, just made some money.
Right.
So there's this one guy who needed a logo, and I reached out to him, I think, and he was I don't remember too much about him, but he was running a finance page. He was based in Canada, and he was, I don't know, he was a young guy just running a finance page. So I asked him if you need a logo, and he said yeah. And so I created some mock-ups, sent it to him, and he liked one of the logos, so he paid me $20 for it. And all I did was make it on Canva as well. So it wasn't the best logo, to be honest, looking back at it, but at the time, it was what it was. And I was pretty happy that I was able to make that first $27 and kind of prove that you can make money online to myself. So that's pretty much what happened.
Wow, that's an amazing start. So 14-year-old, Nitty now has $27 in her pocket. And now
Yeah.
I want to know, how did you go from $27 to 57, $100, 200, 1,000, 5,000? Like, what
Yeah.
were some of the steps in between?
Yeah, so I could walk you through that. So pretty much what I had at the time was actually I had like $300 from birthday money and all that kind of that was my net worth at 14. I had $300 to my name. It was from
Yeah,
like
well,
birthday
that's
money.
pretty good for a 14-year-old, right?
Yeah, I didn't ever spend my money or anything. Even now I still don't spend my money. I save. I don't I do invest, that's what your podcast is about.
Nice. Yeah, I want to talk about that as well. We're going to get into that for sure. But I
Awesome.
want to hear more of your story, how this 14-year-old girl came to become now this 18-year-old young woman.
Yeah. So pretty much I had $300 at the time, then I had made that $27. So, mid 300. Then it was a year later, like a whole year, I had mentioned that I had not made money. I had not made any money because I was helping people for free. I was trying to get testimonials. I was trying to build credibility in the space online in my social media niche because
It's
I
probably
wanted,
pretty smart, actually, right? Like just getting
yeah.
those testimonials.
Yeah, because it's like people are not gonna trust you otherwise, and I think it's a better spend of time to just try to help people first and build a good name. So
Yep.
eventually, this one lady reached out to me and she needed help with her social media and her like course and everything, and she needed help. So I got on a few Zoom calls with her, and I ended up helping her strategize her social media and her course setup and everything like that. And what ended up happening was I would get on calls with her whenever she needed for help, free, completely free of charge. And I was doing this for a couple people. But I remember her specifically because a few months later, she ends up reaching out like June or July. Yeah, it was July 2020. She reached out and she said, "What's your PayPal?" So I said, "Okay, she's going to compensate me. That's cool. I've never been compensated before for this kind of thing." So I
It's
was
like a
like, "Okay,
tip, right? That's what you're thinking. She's going to give
yeah."
me a $5 tip or something.
Exactly. I thought it was gonna be like a $25 thing, maybe quick or something. She ends up sending me $500, and that had
Nice.
more. Yeah, that had more than doubled my net worth at the time. Now I'm up $800, and when I saw $800 in the savings account, I realized I'm only 200 away from 1,000. And if I had made 1,000, I can 10x that and make 10,000. If I make 10,000, I can 10x that and make 100,000. So when you really see things happen, then that's the moment where you realize that you can make it happen over and over and over and over again. When you make your first 1,000, you realize you can do that 10 times more. And then you realize you can do that 10 times more. And that's what had happened to me. And so that's what had happened. And I remember after I got that $500 that $500 from that lady, she kind of instilled belief in me that Nitty, you could be charging like um, I'm investing in you like I'm investing in a stock. I never forgot that she said that. She told me that, and ever
Wow.
since then, I started charging for my services. I remember the next month I had gotten another client for $500. But then after that, there's something else I learned, and I remember I reached out to this one guy. Well, this one guy needed help with his Instagram and he was looking for a coach. And that's exactly what I did. So everyone was mentioning me in the comments of Twitter on his tweet that said I'm looking for someone, right? And they were
Yeah.
like Nitty Saran at Nitty Saran. So I'm like, why is everybody adding me on this?
Yeah.
It said that, so then he reached out to me and he asked me what does the service entail and whatever. He's a business owner, so he had money and he's willing to invest. So I said $500 and I can coach you maybe weekly, bi-weekly calls every for 3 months. And then he said, "No, I'm gonna pay you $2,000 because $500 is too low." And I was shocked out of my mind because why?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I was shocked out of my mind because why would anyone decide to pay more than what they're
Like
asking?
4x. I was asking for 500, but you want to give me 2 grand? Okay. Right.
Yeah. So I was shocked and he ends up sending it to me and that moment I realized that I won't ever undercharge again. And that's when I started really making money. I started, at that time I even had an ebook that was out and I was making money from there as well, passively. And I remember, so, my income is just starting to grow. My net worth is starting to grow slowly with these sales. I ended up closing a $3,000 client right after that month. And I ended the 2020 with my goal in the beginning of 2020, freshman year of high school. I put that I'm going to make $10,000 in 2020. I had no idea how I was going to do it, but I ended up doing it with that $3,000 client after that $2,000 one. So 2 or 3 days before 2020 ended, I had hit that goal. I didn't know how I was gonna do it, but I made it work.
Okay, so 2020 year freshman in high school. So that
Yeah.
means 2021 year sophomore. Let's walk through your sophomore year in high school. Like
Okay.
this story just keeps getting better, right?
Okay. So eventually, so I was a freshman beginning of 2020, and then I was a sophomore end of 2020. Yeah, so end of 2020, mid sophomore year in the winter time, I had $10,000 to my name. And then I released a course called IG Empire to teach people how to grow on Instagram because I was getting a lot of DMs and they were asking me, Nitty, how do I grow on Instagram? Whatever, whatever. And I couldn't answer all those DMs one by one. So I said, why not create a course and sell my knowledge that way? So I ended up selling my knowledge that way. I ended up making, I think, total sales as it comes out around 60K from that. That's not my total profit from that course
No,
alone.
but still, that's a great
Yeah.
revenue, right?
Yeah. So I ended up making that much from that. I'm no longer promoting that course, but it's still up for sale. But um, yeah, that was sophomore year. I ended up making money like that. And in the middle of that summer into junior year, I was selling content creation services. So let's say a business owner needs help with creating content for their page. I was selling that content to them, creating it for their pages. Then junior year, I started doing coaching, and I remember I hit my first 20K month in like close to the end of junior year, but it was like mid junior year.
Right.
I hit my first 20K month, and then I ended up now I'm doing coaching as well, but in a different form. So
So have you even graduated high school yet?
no, not yet. I'm gonna graduate in like 2 months.
Okay, so you're at the end of your senior year right now.
Yes.
That is impressive. Now, do the kids in your school know that you're the richest kid in class?
I don't think so because I don't like to talk about it like that. um,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Amazing story, amazing story. Now, and I did also see on your YouTube channel, and I will put that link in the description. You have a I think it's a 6 or 7-minute video about, "Yeah, I'm going to college."
yeah, yes.
So, let's talk about college. Where are you going? What are your plans?
Yeah, let's okay, so pretty much at first I didn't want to go to college because I was hearing all these gurus.
Because you're like, "I'm making bank. Why do I need to go to college?"
Yeah, I kind of had an ego and I kind of thought that, I didn't need college or anything like that. But I guess as I get older, you realize that you I don't know, your brain develops, so you realize there's more to
Yeah,
life than just like sitting at a computer and making money that way. Although this is probably the most amount of money you can make is through the internet. Because even I know, like now, one of my teachers, she got me a part-time job at um, the city hall in my city, and it's like it doesn't pay as well, and it's like coming from making money
you're like, "I'm
online.
making 16 or 18 bucks an hour, and I could be, like, sitting on my computer making 100 grand. What am I
Right.
doing?"
So it's like that. It's kind of like that, but it's for the experience, it's for connections, it's also for,
Right,
you get out of out of your room and out of your computer and stuff like that. And I am a social person. I enjoy doing that kind of thing. What was the question? I forgot.
I well, college and beyond, where do
Oh
you see
yeah,
yourself
college.
going?
Okay. So sorry about that, but
That's fine.
yeah. So when it comes to college, yeah, I applied to a bunch of places. I got really good scholarship. I just think that for now, I got accepted into an honors program somewhere local. So I'm gonna be going there for now. And then maybe after freshman year of college, I'll transfer out into a place that's a little further or like just to see different experiences and stuff, just to see. But it just depends on scholarships and stuff.
Right,
Because even though you get good scholarships with college, you need good financial aid to make up the rest too, because they don't give you full rides. So
right.
that's the one thing with college. So with financial aid, I wasn't able to get too much this year. But
Yeah,
maybe.
because they're looking at your finances going, "You're making 100 grand, you don't need financial aid."
Yeah, that's the thing. So I'm going with the most financially smart option right now. And it's close, it's convenient, especially because, just personal reasons, everything's
Yeah,
convenient. Um, but, maybe sophomore, junior, senior year, I might transfer out and go some other place that I really want to. So, yeah, I'm looking to go to college just for connections, education. I want a degree behind my name. It's just, the YouTube video that I have pretty much sums up why I decided I want to go to college. But
right.
the whole college process was pretty fun. I got a bunch of acceptance letters and, a lot of scholarships, and it's just cool to see like, what I am capable of with these, colleges.
Yeah, well, and way back in the day, like I said, way back, way, way back, what they said to us was, "Your education is one thing that no one can ever take away from you, so it's great to have an education."
I
So
remember, yeah, I've
and
heard that.
literally, like, so many things can be taken away from you, right? Like,
Yeah,
but your education can never be taken away from you, so that's
100%.
always, in your brain once you have it.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, cool. So that is a lot of your story, um, which is incredible. It's an amazing story, like so young and so successful, and I'm so impressed. And people know too. People know me, like my viewers and listeners know, like I've had guests on the Passive Income podcast. You're now the youngest, but I've had 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, and obviously into their 30s, 40s. And I just love hearing everyone's story. And I'm like, sure, other people my age might look at someone like you and like, what can I learn from that someone who's only 18? And I'm the exact opposite. I'm like, this person is doing something like doing something
Oh,
right. I can learn from her, right? I was
yeah,
like, I'm willing to learn from anybody. I don't care if they're 14, 18, 16, 21, 35. I don't care. If somebody's doing something that I can learn from, I want to learn what they're doing right. And you're doing
yeah.
something right.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the same way. I feel like, and I say that all the time as well. I can learn from anyone as well, and I can learn from someone walking down the street. I can learn from anybody, even as long as they're doing something that I want to do, and I feel like I want to be where they're at, then I can learn from them.
Exactly. Exactly. Like we're all in this like world together and you have to learn from everybody else, right? Learn from trust me, you could learn a lot from my mistakes. Uh, we could do a whole other episode just on you learning from my mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so that is awesome. Now you did mention as well investing, which is obviously what we're all about here on the Passive Income Podcast. And I'm really curious, as an 18-year-old, what have you started investing in?
Yeah, so pretty much right now I have money invested in index funds and dividend stocks, pretty much like the basics. I'm not like a trader or anything. I'm not day trading, swing trading, any of that. I'm just investing for the long term. I just put my money in there and just like, just like let it sit until whatever. Just for now because, it's better than it's good to put at least a portion of it in the market than to just let it sit and most of it in a savings account or anything. So that's what I decided to do. I think my dividends right now are up like $250 a year. I think that's where it's at. So that's
That's
pretty good. That's pretty
that's a
good.
great start for someone who was 18 years old because trust me, 99.9% of other 18-year-olds are not at 250 a year in dividend income, right?
Yeah.
And dividend income, that's again going back to sort of the niche of this podcast is that's what we're all about here. Is just making those dividends grow and keeping them increasing over time. And you've already learned the lesson that most of us didn't learn when we were your age. Don't try to swing trade. Don't try to
Hmm.
day trade. Just invest in those, you know, companies that pay you that dividend every month, every quarter, and let it keep
Yeah.
growing. Just let it every month or every quarter, whatever company it is, they're going to pay you to not work for them. That's a great deal, right?
Yeah. 100%. I feel like the thing is instead of day trading or swing trading, why not just run some kind of business or sell something online or just, sell anything? And I say business as in sell anything. You can sell something, anything, like the way you're selling your merchandise or something is the same way.
Link in the description.
It's the same way that you can, make way more money doing that with less effort than swing trading or day trading or something like that. So
Right.
instead of making pennies that way, you might as well make hundreds selling, so a product or a service.
Yeah,
So
no, you can make a lot of money day trading, but your eyes are bleeding staring at a screen all
yeah,
day trying to watch candles go up and down, and
of course.
oh, it's just not for me. That's
Yeah, it's
it's
not fun.
definitely
It
not for
doesn't look
me,
fun.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I am kind of curious what companies in particular do you invest in?
I'm not 100% sure off the like top of my head right now, but I can go on my account right now. But
Yeah,
the thing
sure.
is, one of my biggest investments I remember, like one of my first ones was the index fund VOO.
Yeah, that's a very popular one for Americans for sure.
Yeah. So I'm going on my stuff right now. But that one was the first one that I invested in. And let's see. So I'm invested in Apple, obviously. I,
Oh, it's obvious.
yeah, no, I love Apple. I have I'm literally recording this on a MacBook and I have an iPhone, so invest in the companies you believe in.
You know, my saying, every all of my listeners and everyone on that follows me on Twitter knows my saying is called "Turn that cash register around,"
Mhm.
which is very similar to what you're describing there. It's like, okay,
Oh.
I have Apple, I'm going to invest in Apple, right?
Oh, that's smart. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, and you can really dive deep into the turn that cash register around strategy, and like I mean, whoever you pay your cell phone bill, like in the US, if you pay your cell phone bill to
Mm,
AT&T, buy AT&T. Uh, if you've ever eaten at McDonald's, buy McDonald's. If you ever I don't know if you're a builder, maybe you go to Home Depot sometimes and buy stuff, invest in Home Depot, like, and you can
mm,
just, like, go down the list of all these companies that you go to, and it's like they're readily available on the market. Invest in the companies that you buy from, right? So
yeah. That's exactly like what I've heard before and like when I was starting and stuff. So that's kind of what I did here. So I'm invested in Apple. I'm invested in VOO, QQQ. See, the thing is like I've done like kind of some research on these, and I'm just like not too worried because they're just index funds and they're gonna
yeah,
grow over time. And by the time I'm like what 40, I'm not gonna like it's not like I'm stressing over this every day. I don't even look at this sometimes in months. So
perfect.
yeah.
That is 110% perfect. Oh my god, you are so smart.
Thank
Because that
you.
no, that's exactly what you wanna do. Like you
Mhm,
said, by the time you're 40, which is still, 20 plus years away,
mhm. Yeah,
they're gonna be paying you that dividend every quarter for those 20 years. You can keep stacking it, adding brick by brick, adding the snowman, and, in 20 years, you could retire if you want, or you could just, keep growing your multi-million dollar empire.
yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's common sense kind of to me. It came easy because I just once I pick up on something and I hear from people, I realize that, what they're saying is true and I'm not just gonna, start day trading or something like that. But yeah, it's just index funds and stuff like that. It's pretty much just like VGT and I have VONG, VTI, like those kind of stuff.
Do you
Uh,
have SCHD?
no, I do not.
Well, that's the one you need to look into next. Uh so right now, again, like I said, I'm Canadian, and everything I have is in the Canadian market, but SCHD is at the very top of my watch list for what I want to invest in the US. It is another ETF, and the top 10, 15 companies in that ETF are just winner, 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 chicken dinner. Like, so you look at SCHD, not financial advice, but I'm telling you, you might want to look at that one.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take a look at it.
Right.
Cool.
Awesome, awesome. No, super, super excited and stoked to have you on this episode of the Passive Income Podcast. I'm so I don't even know what the words are at this point. Like, you've grown this brand at such a young age, and this right, like, you have a huge following on Instagram, 115,000, I believe it is, on Instagram, and you have a very large following, on Twitter as well, obviously, and, just amazing, amazing what you've done at such a young age,
Thank you.
and I can only see you just obviously growing and getting much bigger and bigger from here.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Nice. Yeah, there's your Instagram there.
Yeah.
Um, I love this 18-year-old Instagram expert, which I mean, I know you could teach me. I'm not good at Instagram at all. I post every now and then, and when I get a notification on my phone that somebody's following me on Instagram, I my first thought is like, why? Why are you following me on Instagram, right? Yeah, tons of great content over here at Nitty's Instagram page. And of course, Nitty on Twitter as well. If I can share
Yeah.
the Twitter tab, I think that can, yeah, your Twitter came up there. So, 54,000 followers on Twitter as well. Amazing.
Thank you.
So, and of course, YouTube, I actually intentionally did this on YouTube. Is the YouTube up now?
Yes.
Okay, you see here where it says subscribe, everyone? I'm gonna just click that button right there, and you should too, okay? So go and subscribe to Nitty on, YouTube as well.
Thank you.
Nice. Yeah, uh, absolutely amazing, and I kinda wanna talk about sort of that idea as well of just social media. So, again, I've had actually several guests on here on the Passive Income Podcast that have, you know, well over 50,000, 90,000, over 100,000 followers on Twitter. And I guess they are social media influencers, but trust me, I know they don't think of themselves as social media influencers. And maybe that's like sort of the demographic that we're a little bit older that we don't really consider ourselves social media influencers, but you definitely are, right? You definitely are. You're in that age group of, hey, I've got 115,000 followers on Instagram, and I know that I'm going to influence people to buy a product or you can kind of steer their direction one way or
Yeah.
another. And I guess just what are your thoughts on that whole idea of being a social media influencer?
Yeah. I guess really technically looking at it, like looking at the word social media influencer, anyone can be a social media influencer because literally looking at the word, it's social media influencer. So if you're in front of an audience on social media, regardless of who you are, you have 100 followers, 3,000 followers, 100,000 followers, it doesn't matter. You have an audience, you are some kind of influencer to those group of people
Right.
because these people are following you and they're seeing the kind of content you put out, whether you're just a spam page on Twitter just trolling and putting out whatever content. So people are looking up to that still, the kind of people that you attract, whatever, and you're influencing them to continue being on whatever the niche that they're in and whatever behavior that they're on. And I feel like anyone can be a social media influencer. It's just how do you influence the people that are watching you? And with me, I would have probably never been on social media if it weren't for my business and if it weren't for trying to help people be better. Because I genuinely, I was never on social media prior. Like all these kids had social media, all my friends and stuff, they had social media, but I was never the social media type. I was like, I don't really want it. I had peace without it. I was like, cool. But I said,
Which is probably one, a good thing, and also part of what's led to your success on social media, where it's like, I'm not stressed out about trying to have 100,000 followers,
yeah.
and then it came to you, right?
Yeah, it's like when you don't try for something, it just happens, and it's like you just have to put in the work, and the work attracts what it is that you want, the result that you want. The result comes from putting in that work consistently.
Right.
You know, it's like I use a an analogy, and it's like if you try to chase a butterfly, it's never gonna come to you. But if you just stand there, sit pretty, and smell good, a butterfly is definitely gonna come to you. So you got to do the things to attract the opportunities and
Right.
the results that you want.
Wow, words of wisdom from an 18-year-old. That's great. You're 100% right, right? Like
Yeah,
you chase a butterfly, you'll never catch it. Sit still, butterfly will come to you.
yeah, 100%.
I do want to ask kind of another question, especially for your age group and demographic, and again relating to social media, but like just the mental uh I don't want to use the word well, I do kind of want to use the word mental illness, but the mental aspect of social media and how good or bad it can be for someone.
Yeah. I think that it just depends on who these people follow and the kind of content they consume. Because I remember when, especially when I was first getting started, and even when Reels wasn't a thing, like Instagram Reels is one of the biggest things in TikTok. I don't have TikTok on my phone, and that would have been bad if I did, because I feel like Instagram Reels, TikToks, and YouTube Shorts are making people's attention span like much shorter, and they're also
Yeah,
causing a lot of distraction and a lot of a lot of mental whatever it is, just like you said. I feel like it's causing a lot of problems too, because with social media, the type of content you consume, if it's negative, and that's what mainly these YouTube Shorts and Reels and TikToks are, they're mainly like negative content or content that's just mediocre, and it's just content. It's not
right.
super uplifting or super happy and super motivational all the time. That's not what people mainly create content on. So when these reels and TikToks and stuff are coming, you're filling your mind with that. That's what you are, what you consume, even with your social media diet, and that's what I think. So, if you, it just depends on who you're following. And I feel like if you just cut out the rest, you just follow the people that you want to be like, just look at your following list. If you wouldn't be okay with being like these people and consuming their content, why are you following them? Why are
Yeah.
you consuming their content? Yeah.
And, and I think a point there too is unfortunately all of the algorithms, whether it's TikTok, Twitter, Instagram Reels, they all feed off of controversy, and a lot of that controversy can turn into negativity from because it's one side fighting another side. It's controversy, right? Whereas if these algorithms fed off of positivity, just like rainbows and unicorns, and we're all happy all day, every day, right?
Yeah.
Maybe mental illness would be less of an issue within the social media spectrum.
Of course. I think it's just has to do with, it also has to do with like disciplining yourself and kind of realizing that some people are chronically on their phones, like they're chronically addicted to social media, even in like high school. I know this because kids, like if you asked a student maybe in high school nowadays, it's like you ask a kid and they're like, what do you do like outside of school? It would probably be, there's a group of kids where it would probably be like they can't even think of anything that they do. They probably
Right.
just sit at home and scroll on their phones all day, that they literally do not have anything else to do with their lives. And that's sad. That is very sad. Like to me that's sad because you're
I
just
can't even
scrolling.
think of it. Like, again, I'm from a generation where we went outside and played. We went out inside and, shot, basketballs into the hoop, and we went out and actually hit baseballs with a baseball bat, and we actually kicked a soccer ball around, and again,
Yeah.
being Canadian, we played road hockey all day, every day, right? Like, we actually went outside and did things.
Yeah. N- That's the thing. Like kids like still like now I know people who still go out, as do I, and live life and actually do things, but some, there's still a group of kids who will, come home and just scroll through their phones all day and just kind of waste their days away. And it's like, life is so precious. We're here for just a limited time. And to me,
Right.
it runs more deep than just, oh, I have nothing to do today. But find something to do because, life is more interesting than that.
And I do have to say to that point too, it goes by fast. Like, I mean, it doesn't seem like it was just, a week or 2 ago that I was at your age and in high school, and
Wow.
look at me now with the gray beard and the gray hair, right? Like, so it goes
Yeah.
by real fast. Trust me, in 30 years, you're gonna be looking back going, "Oh, wow, he was right. It went by real fast." It went by real fast.
Yeah. I think the thing is just to enjoy and live in the present moment and just take in every moment you can. And as hippie as that sounds, I kind of like the hippie thoughts. So
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's great. That's great. Awesome conversation. I've totally loved having you on, and we've touched on a lot of different topics, a little bit about your beginning investing journey, which is great. Like, you're setting yourself up for future success. You're already successful at 18 years old. You've worked hard from the age of I'm going to sell candy and put that poor other person out of business to beginning this social media journey, and making money online at 14 years old, and 4 years later you're like, becoming a social media kingpin of just making money online. Yeah, super super great conversation. I've loved every minute of it. And just anything else you want to say sort of before we sign off?
yeah, first of all, I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's been awesome being on and talking about the story. You brought up a lot of questions that not a lot of people ask when it comes to the podcast, like the younger side of me
Yeah,
and
no,
stuff.
I was really curious about how does an 8-year-old turn into this 14-year-old? Like, where were those 6 years, right?
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's just a process, and I really appreciate you asking questions like that because I don't think any other host has gotten a question like that out of me. So I appreciate that.
Nice.
But yeah, it was just really nice being on. Just thank you.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much for coming on and spending some of your time with me. And if you're still here over 45 minutes later, you do know the rules. You have to hit the subscribe button. You're still here, so just hit the subscribe.